I asked 50 millionaires the same question. Almost none of them got rich the way I expected. The wealthiest people you'll never hear about made one decision you'd never guess, and it has nothing to do with income, investing, or luck. I spent 6 months sitting across from millionaires nobody's ever seen on Instagram. What they told me, quietly, almost reluctantly, destroyed every story I'd ever been sold about money. What I found wasn't a strategy. It was something far more unsettling than that. You wanted to understand how people actually get rich. Not the highlight reel, not the podcast soundbite, not the 47 slide deck about passive income, the real thing. So you started reaching out, quietly, no cameras, no brand deals, just conversations with people who had crossed the line from ordinary to wealthy and were willing to tell you how. You expected war stories, pivots, lucky bets, moments of genius. You expected the stuff they sell on Instagram. What you got instead broke something open inside you, and you haven't been able to look at your phone the same way since. The first person you sat across from was a 54-year-old man named Dennis. He drove a 2014 Honda CR-V. He wore New Balance sneakers. He looked like someone's dad, because he was someone's dad. Net worth, $3.4 million. 27 years as a civil engineer at a mid-sized firm in Ohio. No side hustle, no startup, no viral moment. He maxed out his 401k every single year, bought a house and didn't move, drove boring cars, took one vacation a year, was, in his own words, profoundly uninteresting. And yet, he was free. You didn't fully understand what that word meant yet, but by the end of these conversations, you would. The second person was a 47-year-old woman named Carla, a nurse practitioner. She made $10,000 a year at her peak. Never made a single investment that would impress anyone at a dinner party. No crypto moonshot, no angel round, no real estate empire. She bought index funds the same way she drank coffee every morning, automatically, without drama, without checking the ticker. $800 a month, then $1,200, then $1,500 as her income grew for 22 years. Her portfolio, $2.1 million. She still works 3 days a week, not because she has to, because she likes it. You start to notice something, but you push it away. You tell yourself these are outliers. You just happen to find the boring ones, so you keep going. A 61-year-old former high school teacher, $1.9 million. A 38-year-old electrician who cleared $2.7 million after 15 years of overtime and never upgrading his lifestyle. A 52-year-old middle manager from a company you've never heard of, driving a truck with 140,000 miles on it, sitting on $4.1 million like it's the most natural thing in the world. None of them had a moment. None of them had a breakthrough. None of them had a strategy you could put on a whiteboard. They had something else entirely, and you couldn't name it yet. Then the pattern hits you like cold water. You go back through your notes. Every single person. You look at the variables. Income varied wildly. Industry all over the place. Luck, some, not much. Investment genius, barely. What was consistent, shockingly, almost stubbornly consistent, was how they behaved when nothing exciting was happening. When the market dropped, they didn't sell. When the market spiked, they didn't call their broker. When their coworkers were leasing BMWs and flying to Vegas for the weekend, they drove used cars and made lunch at home. Not because they were poor, not because they couldn't afford it, because they had decided, quietly, privately, without needing anyone to validate them, what their money was actually for. And here's where it gets uncomfortable, because you've been optimizing for the wrong thing. You've been chasing the story, the flashy one. The one where someone takes a risk, bets on themselves, goes all in, burns the boats, and wakes up in a different tax bracket. You've watched it play out on your screen so many times, it started to feel like the only way, the legitimate way, the cool way. But here's what none of those people ever told you, because they never had a reason to. The cool version of wealth creation is almost entirely fictional. It exists, but at a frequency so rare it's essentially noise. For every person who flipped a house at the right time, there are 10,000 people who max their Roth IRA every year and are quietly, boringly, completely fine. You just never see them because they don't need you to. That's the first thing Dennis said that lodged itself in your brain like a splinter. I never needed anyone to know. He wasn't bragging. He was explaining a psychology, a way of being in the world where external validation and financial decisions exist in completely separate rooms of your mind. They never touch. He didn't buy the watch to signal. He didn't post the vacation to prove. He didn't upgrade the car to feel arrived. He was arrived. He just didn't feel the need to announce it. And sitting across from Dennis, you realize something you couldn't fully articulate until much later. Social media didn't just distort the image of wealth, it reverse engineered the psychology required to build it. Think about what the algorithm rewards: drama, contrast, before and after, risk. The bigger the risk, the better the story. The faster the rise, the more views. The more you perform being wealthy, the more the platform amplifies you. And the more it amplifies you, the more you internalize that performance as the model, the method, the path. But the actual path, the one Dennis walked, the one Carla walked, the one every single person in your notes walked, it doesn't look like anything. It looks like Tuesday. It looks like setting up an automatic transfer and going outside. It looks like not opening the app that tells you what your portfolio is doing. It looks like having the same quiet conversation with yourself year after year about what you actually value, and having the discipline to let that be enough. There's a moment in your notes, you flagged it in yellow, where a 43-year-old logistics manager named Greg said something you keep going back to. The first million is about behavior. The second million is about patience. By the third, you've already won the psychological war, and the math just takes over. You read that 3 times. Because he wasn't describing intelligence. He wasn't describing connections or capital or market timing. He was describing something closer to character, a relationship with time, a willingness to look unimpressive for a decade, so you can be quietly, privately, completely free on the other side of it. And that's the part they never sell you. Not because it's a secret, because it's not a product. You can't package show up consistently for 20 years. You can't run ads against spend less than you earn and invest the difference. There's no course, no mastermind, no guru. The strategy is embarrassingly simple, which means the only thing standing between you and it is you. Here's what will stay with you long after this is over. Every single person you interviewed had made a decision that other people couldn't see, a private decision, one that cost them something, some coolness, some status, some social currency. In the short term, they said no to things. They drove past the dealership. They watched friends buy houses twice the size and felt nothing, or they felt something and let it pass. And on the other side of that private decision, year after year, the math silently did what math does. You are sitting at your desk right now, phone in your hand. Someone on your screen is telling you about a strategy. They're attractive and confident. The lifestyle looks real. The numbers are clean. The story's good. And now you know something you didn't know before. The loudest voices about wealth are almost never the ones who built it quietly. The ones who built it quietly are driving used Honda CR-Vs, eating lunch they made at home, watching their net worth grow in silence, with no interest in telling you about it. The hidden rule isn't a tactic. It isn't a stock or a strategy or a side hustle. It's this: the people who win the long game stop playing the short one. And the moment you decide to do the same, not loudly, not publicly, not for anyone else, that's when it actually begins.